What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of From the Logo Podcast. We got Gifted, myself, Hayes in the building. We'll see ZZ, wait on ZZ, and Bama, who's on the road, may show up as well. We got a great topic to talk about today. Gifted, like we talked about this when we were planning it out. I feel like this is a really fun conversation to have because Nikola Jokic is really in the midst of having a great season, one of the all-time best seasons statistically that you'll ever see. But with that said, Shea is still, as of most outlets and things, the favorite to win MVP. Hey, how do you feel about the MVP race? I know it's been a weird conversation around it, but how do you feel about the MVP race so far?
It's tiring, man. I feel like we've gotten to this point several times where this late in the season, the MVP race just isn't that enthralling as it was maybe 2 months or 3 months before. I partially feel that way, Hayes, because I feel like this has been open and shut for me for some time now. I just felt like Shea has always been in the lead for the most part of the award, even though it wasn't showing that through Basketball Reference and I believe also NBA.com. I just felt like it was really inevitable. You know what I'm saying? And we are seeing that more and more and more. OKC continues to have a huge gap overall in separation. And right now, Jokic isn't playing, which I don't think he should be playing. If he's hurt, he shouldn't be playing. But it's just been like a long, drawn-out conversation, a lot of the same talking points. And then most times it's to basically shit on either Shea or Jokic. And I don't want to do that because they're both playing phenomenal basketball. So I'm excited for this topic because Jokic this season, bro, he's been amazing.
Yeah, Jokic has been awesome. I mean, statistically and analytically, he's having, like I said, one of the best seasons in NBA history. And, you know, his team's winning. There's no doubt that he's the engine of that team. They're so much different when he's on the court. He makes everything go there. And, you know, if this does go the route, which it does seem like it's going to go, of Jokic not winning MVP, it's going to be a hell of a snub, man.
Yeah, it's crazy because I feel like Jokic is probably the only player in the world I can say this about. He has a legitimate argument to should have won actual MVP 4 seasons straight. And it's not because of like him not being there. Like he's going to finish as an MVP finalist for 4 years in a row. Right? Where versus the Joel Embiid MVP, a huge part of why he didn't win it is mainly because of him not having a championship, which was the laziest narrative ever, but also because of the fear that he would have three-peated. And can we let a guy who's never won a championship three-peat back-to-back-to-back seasons when there's another guy that, you know, somewhat has an argument, even though I thought Jokic was better the entire season. I understand Embiid had like 42 points in their matchup, fine, but he didn't play in Denver. And most of the season, Jokic was better, but I digress. So for him, it'll be tough. I agree. Like he's playing his best basketball of his career. So of all the seasons ranked in terms of like a clear snub, I don't feel like Jokic is a snub in the sense of what the MVP means to me. But I think the production in the vacuum, there's not many other seasons of basketball where X player does what he's doing and is not the MVP.
That's 100% fact. But I guess let's start talking about it, man. ZZ's coming in at the right time.
Nice.
That's ZZ coming through the building. Why can't we see him?
Is he here? Yep.
I don't know what's going on here.
Oh, shit. Am I still here?
There you go. I have no idea what's going on. Like we'll see what's happening with ZZ here in a minute. But with that said, let's talk about it. Who are some? So, just as a base, is this season? Do you view this season? Would this be the biggest snub in NBA MVP history if Jokic does not win this season?
No, not at all to me. I don't think this is a snub based on who is number one in this league right now, based on the context of what the award has been, but also just how much of a gap we're seeing in wins. This is not like a Devin Booker type of player who's going to win it over Jokic. This is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who to me has not only played the same amount of games as Jokic, but has had a supreme impact and again has a higher plus when he's on the floor than Jokic, which Jokic is the advanced analytics guy. So normally he dominates this every single year. For Shea to be at that level to me speaks to his impact for the entire season. So in my opinion, I don't think this is the biggest snub in history. I do think if you took Shea out of the running and just say in a vacuum, is this guy the MVP? Jokic would be that, which means I think it's probably the best season I've seen with my own two eyes in terms of a player producing MVP caliber. I think that's him. I think this is probably the best season to not win MVP if he winds up not winning it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
How you
agree.
feeling, ZZ?
I agree with that. The last sentiment where it's the best season for him not to win it. But when you base like when I look at Jokic, like I looked into some numbers, and when we talk about the MVP award, right? I've always been one to say that the criteria changes every year. The reason I say that is because there is no criteria for the MVP. We as the fans just keep acting like the shit is something different every year than previously, or acting like certain things don't factor into the MVP as opposed to others. Nikola Jokic is averaging a triple-double as a center. As a center. Any other season, he's MVP. If he wins it this year, does he deserve it? Absolutely. Absolutely. SGA, last year, the reason that he didn't win it, I specifically remember, was because Jokic and them was 2.5 games behind the youngest one seed in NBA history. Now, when we look at the MVP award in the last 20 years, what's one thing that's been a constant out of all of the vague terms of what the MVP means? A narrative. The other thing that's been the most constant is wins. Wins are always important. That's the most important thing. Where you look back at every MVP in history, you can go from the year of 1981 to 2016. That's about 35 years right there. The amount of times that somebody who won MVP who was the fourth place was once. Third place, I think, was twice. Second place was 3 times. And every other time was 30 years out of 36. It was going to someone with the best record or tied for the best record. That's just what it was. Then you enter into the Russell Westbrook era. Russell Westbrook, this is why he's a GOAT to me, because bro changed the MVP award. He changed it. He changed the narrative. From a 6 seed, he won it in a year in which he averaged a triple-double. And let me tell you something. If any of y'all play eras on 2K and y'all play Steph era, and y'all do randoms, right? Stay with me. And you end up on Oklahoma City, and you got to play with MVP Russ on 2K, right? It's fun because it's like, oh shit, like it's MVP Russ. But then you quickly realize why he won that MVP. Outside of Victor Oladipo, you got nothing offensively from that unit. So and even still, with Russell Westbrook and what he was able to do, and even to get that team to the playoffs that year, it was MVP worthy, of course. But that was a year gifted that me and you have talked about, where Steph Curry was not in consideration, and he was the best point guard in basketball. Kevin Durant wasn't in consideration. He was the second best small forward in basketball. LeBron James wasn't in consideration, and he was the best player in basketball. The MVP award doesn't go to the best player all the times. Jokic is the best player in basketball. It doesn't go to the guy with the most sexiest analytics all the time. Jokic has that, right? When you look at this season alone and you compare it to other seasons, like for example, 2011, right? That's a year where it's a controversial year. You only, from years past, you only hear LeBron's name in that, even though he was third in MVP that year behind Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard and Derrick Rose had two things in common that year. No offensive help whatsoever besides themselves. LeBron had D Wade and Chris Bosh, and said he was going to win 8 championships 2 months before the season started. But it is what it is. The point that I'm making is, you have instances where, of course, you know who the best player is. It could be best player on best team, like whatever. Like Donovan Mitchell isn't in this conversation, just like Jason Tatum wasn't in this conversation last year, right? Just like how, like Gifted said a week ago, this is really a 2-man race. Giannis is chopped liver, even though we all fucks with Giannis. He putting up MVP numbers too, but he just don't get no love this year. He can't. He ain't moving over SGA. He ain't moving over Jokic. It's a 2-man race. That's just what it is. So it's crazy because you have a year where SGA has, like I told y'all before, checked off all his boxes. Chet has played less than 30 games this year. Chet Holmgren, their third or second best player, depending on the night, has played less than 30 games. Their biggest offseason acquisitions in Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso have both played less than 50 games this year. But is that not MVP? But they're 12 and a half games better than Who in the Western Conference? Like, what are we talking about? So both these guys have a solid MVP case. Solid MVP case. Jokic has the numbers. Shai's got the wins. Shai's got the story and shit. And to be honest with y'all, in the last month and a half, Jokic has been building himself a little narrative to go up to combat that. Where it's like, okay, look at what Jokic is doing. Yeah, Shai got all that, but look at what Jokic is doing. I didn't heard somebody tell me, I'm gonna let y'all chime in on this. I heard somebody tell me that Jokic has dealt with his injuries, more injuries to his star players than Shai has this year. Talking about Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon. Now, look, had I slapped the shit out of him, would I have been wrong? Would I have been wrong for that?
Yeah, I mean, no, you wouldn't have been wrong for it.
Right. That's almost disrespectful.
It's like I just find it so disingenuous because in what world does a Jamal Murray bring more impact than a Chet Holmgren?
Thank you.
Like I don't like I feel like it's such a reach because while the Nuggets have gone through injury, I agree, like they've had multiple players out for different reasons. What OKC has gone through is not having their second best player, and for a moment, not having their big or backup big.
Any big. It's like
Any
they had
big,
no bigs for like
all they had was Stu Dennis.
Thank you.
That was it. So I don't really see the point in that. I also like really hate the point of people saying that, oh yeah, Jokic just for sure has more impact on his team winning than Shai. Like, I don't understand that when again on the floor this year, OKC is the best in the league when Shai's on the floor, right? With Nikola Jokic, he's behind Shai. Now there's other advanced stats I can get to all this and all that. My point is when people go back to 2017, when we saw Westbrook average a triple-double, win his MVP, what I think gets lost on a ton of people is the fact of how unbalanced the teams were during that season, right? For instance, Golden State won 67 games that year. The reason why Steph and or KD couldn't win it is because to them, that was a super team. More times than not, when you're on a super team, it's hard for you to win the MVP unless one player is outright outlapping the other one. And Steph and KD were pretty much 1A, 1B for that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So, right, then you go over to the Houston Rockets where James Harden is leading his unit. They win 55 games. They're the 3 seed, right? The Oklahoma City Thunder preseason, no one had any expectations. They were not supposed to be a playoff team in any way, shape, or form. And they finish out the season 8 wins lesser than that Rockets team. So for a lot of people, when they were comparing the impact of James Harden and comparing Russ, it came down to the final game of the season. It really did. Right. So to me, like we can't undersell how close of an MVP race that was. I don't think that Harden got victoriously robbed. I just think one person had to get it and it wound up being Russ. However, after that, then people said, well, how should we define, evaluate all this and all that? I've always put it like this, Hayes. More times than not, there's a rare couple of moments where this same logic is not consistent, but more times than not, whoever is winning the MVP is near the best impact in the league. And more times than not, they're viewed as a top player in basketball, right? You're not going to see Devin Booker win a MVP. Prime example, we saw the Phoenix Suns win all those games. Even though it's best player, best team, it depends on how good that best player really is. If you're not at least like a top 7, top 8 player, you're probably not winning the MVP. That's kind of what it is. And I think for this year, we have such a different argument because what Shai has done for the beginning of the season with his cast being out and him still being super duper dominant, leading the league in many different scoring and all around impact metrics, that gives him the lead on top of games played and on top of wins. I'll say it again. James Harden was in contention for MVP as the 3rd seed, where the number 1 seed in the Western Conference has 67 wins. This year, Oklahoma City is almost over 12 games better than every other team in the Western Conference. Not to mention the fact that they've already clinched the playoffs as a 1 seed this early. So to me, it's like if Shai wins it again, I think he deserves it. I don't think it's a robbery for Jokic, but it's also insane to not acknowledge the season Jokic is having, because I'm telling you, if Shai didn't have all these things going for him, Jokic would win it. I 100% agree. If the win gap was like closer, like listen, if the win gap was like 8 or 6, I'm giving it to Jokic, me personally. Like I would make that argument. But because it's not, and because I've seen how both players have played this season, Shea has an argument to me.
And that's the thing too. Hayes, good.
No, I was just going to bring up this comment here. Jokic losing Murray hurts Denver more than SGA losing Chet. How do you guys feel about that? Because I got the numbers in front of me, but how do you guys feel about that?
So I just feel like off top, that's just not like I don't necessarily agree with that because what Chet Holmgren provides to OKC with his rim protection, I feel like you're saying this because OKC's won without Chet, and I'm letting you know, yes, they won without Chet. That speaks to Shea's impact. Because Shea has been so good, he can backpack without Chet Holmgren on the floor. Again, I'm only talking about the ceiling that they raised for the team. What Chet Holmgren does defensively for this unit is crazy. Now, imagine not having him or Isaiah Hartenstein. It's just different to me. I don't know.
I agree with that. I think on top of that, when you look, the thing that people aren't taking into consideration is this. Like I said, like you can get into how you all the advanced numbers you want, pull up everything that you possibly can to make an argument for Murray. But at the end of the day, the base level of all of this is, like I said, Chet's played less than 30 games this year.
Yeah.
Chet Holmgren has played less than 30 games. The Thunder are 12 and a half games better than the second seed and are literally watching the Nuggets and the Rockets and the Lakers just play peekaboo with the second seed.
Absolutely.
Just
watch
watch
at this point, like there's 10 games left in the season. Technically, the Thunder could just say, "Hey, we're just gonna rest up all the rest 10 games and not be at risk to lose the
100%. They could do that.
at all, like
be
not
chilling.
even remotely, right?
These games don't matter for them, really. Like,
but as far as the numbers on that, Chet Holmgren has a higher EPM. Adjusted for pace, higher true shooting percentage, higher defensive win share, higher offensive reshare, higher rebounding rate, higher steal rate, higher block rate. I don't know to say that losing Murray is more impactful than losing Chet Holmgren. I think the thing that's difficult about this conversation is that people look at the Thunder and say, well, the Thunder are good regardless, right?
Exactly.
But you have to look at how much that takes away from the team. Because, for example, people who are trying to make that about Shea and Jokic, for example, like, the Thunder would still probably be close to a playoff team without Shea. But they're 18 points worse when Shea's not on the court.
So
you can't deny that impact that he's having on the team.
You cannot deny that. And here's another thing, is this is just my little hot take in all this. I think that, like, I saw a stat. I think it was like the top 3 players that have made more free throws than field goals this season. In that mix was James Harden. Shout out my GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
But Shea wasn't in that mix, right? And so when you listen to the narrative deflectors over the season, the ones that have tried to throw things at Shea and say, hey, look, free throw merchant. Look, here's my hottest take with the free throw merchant shit. What's wrong? The reason I say what's wrong is Giannis shoots more free throw attempts. Like every year, Giannis is top 3 in free throw attempts. Like every year. He shoots them at prime. Actually, he shoots below prime Shaq levels from the free throw line. So, like slightly, just a little bit. You look at that and you take that and you say, now, what if Giannis shot 75% from the free throw line? Would he be called a free throw merchant then if he shot better? Do you only get called a free throw merchant if you make your free throws? Because that's what I think it is. What's wrong with Shea being 6'6", a guard, and he has the ability to not only knock down the mid-range, the three-pointer, draw fouls, drive in the lane, finish off the glass, dunk on a nigga, steal from a nigga. But he can make free throws too. Joel Embiid, right? Injury prone as he is, you can't foul him. In 2000, if this is Joel Embiid and we put him in the year like 2000, you might be able to foul him if his IQ wasn't as developed as it was in 2011. But no, like he can make free throws. That's the point. Back in the day, you know what I'm saying? Larry Brown would love to have had Joel Embiid on his team instead of Dikembe Mutombo shooting free throws.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
So listen, there's many arguments I can make with this. Here's my biggest point. When people keep saying OKC was still winning games, like I think what people are really underrated, and this also goes back to the point you just made about Shea and the free throw line. Shea without free throws is still the best scorer in the NBA. You can take free throws away, he will still be amongst the top scorers in the NBA. His efficiency with the amount of drives we've seen from a guard, we've never seen anything like that before. And on top of it, if we are again having the Jamal Murray show home conversation, Denver is 7-2 this season without Jamal Murray. That's not opinion. That's fact. You can Google it. I know ball, so I know that has to be true. You can look it up. I'm just saying off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure they're 7-2 without him. You can fact check that. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But then, continuing to speak to that, we do have a power chat from, I believe his name is Slitherman, I think. It's not about OKC's wins. It's about what, but this is my problem with this exact conversation. What Shea does, you cannot have another guy slot in to do.
Yeah, that's
kind of my point.
Thank you, Gifted. Thank you, Gifted. That is something that I've been saying for weeks. Is like, okay, if OKC is as deep as everyone says they are, point me to SGA 2.0. If Shea, knock on wood, if Shea were to get hurt tomorrow, point me to the guy on the team that's going to do what Shea does. Is it Jalen Williams? Is it Isaiah Joe?
No. And beyond that, if we're gonna really talk about basketball, which by the way, this is what the show is meant for us to really dive into basketball. OKC is a defensive tilted unit, and they can afford to be that because of how good Shea is as an offensive guy to run their offense through. So when Shea is not on the floor, that's why for many times this season, we've said, ooh, it looks kind of wicked when you have to have Jalen Williams be your main advantage creator when Shea is not on the floor, not in the game. Because Shea can function in that same way, they can afford to have more defensive-minded players play next to him because of how Shea can carry that offense. It's been that way the entire season. It's really been that way as long as Shea's been within Oklahoma City. So, like, these points to me, like, are non-points. And again, if you want to say, well, if you take Jamal Murray off of Denver, they lose a whole bunch of games. Again, they're 7-2. But even beyond that, if we add Chet and just say, let's just
Chet, they're winning 72 games. Like, what are
they're damn near breaking the record for all wins all time, at least pace wise. So, like, at that point, what are we talking about?
That's my thing with this. And Slitherman, we're not trying to like discredit Jokic's case in any way, shape, or form here. We're just saying when you look at, like, for example, you said who replaces Jokic in this scenario. I get you. If we're talking about Jokic and his playmaking, right? Who would replace that playmaking? They have a guy. They have two guys in Jamal Murray and Russell Westbrook that could replace that playmaking. You're not replacing Jokic's efficiency by any stretch of the imagination. But if you have Jamal Murray, you have a capable two-way guy that not only can get his own shot, as we saw and Lakers fans saw for many years in the playoffs the last few years, but you also have a guy that can create for others as well. And then the thing that's the biggest argument that I have in this for Shea is that there isn't anybody else on the team that can score like him, as efficient as him, that can play make like him. Now they got defenders that can defend like him. They got better defenders on there for sure. But in terms of what that offense, how that offense works and it revolving around him and the responsibilities that he has as a guard and what we have seen him have to step up to this year, despite injuries to his second, third, fourth, and fifth best players. They're still at the top of the conference, still clinched a playoff spot before anybody other than Cleveland. And last year, like we said, youngest one seed ever. This year, they have injuries to that same core, and they're somehow better than last year.
And they still have the best record for teams above 500 as well.
That's another good point, too.
So it's like you can't make an argument. You really can't make a lot of arguments against what Shea has done. That nigga has boxed up every argument you could possibly box up this year.
Well, the problem with this is that it's a more intricate conversation than what most people are willing to have. That's why I'm glad that we're having it, because it's people try to attack this conversation of let's find a way to knock Shea to boost up Jokic. Let's find a way to knock Jokic to boost up Shea.
And that's not what it should be.
Legitimately a conversation that's not the right way to attack this. Both these guys are having incredible seasons. And if anybody tries to have the conversation to make it seem as if somebody's not having an incredible season out these two, they're stupid. Like, just to put it quite frank, like, they're stupid. Like, somebody I was in a conversation with, and they were like, well, if Shea wins MVP this year, is going to be similar to Steve Nash winning it. I said, I should smack you in your mouth.
That's
literally your whole lineage needs to be smacked, bro. If that's really how you feel about this.
All right, Hayes. Now you should have asked him this question: how many MVPs does Jokic have? 3. How many championships did he win with those MVPs? None. So how valuable is the MVP? Like I said before to y'all, Jokic deserves MVP. Don't get me wrong. Shea deserves MVP. Don't get me wrong. But tell me if this is how this is gonna happen. Say Shea wins it. The Thunder go to the playoffs, they get bounced out in the conference finals or the second round, right? The amount of hate, slander, negativity that will come Shea's way and the Thunder, the whole Thunder team as a whole, they probably clown the whole team. But if that was Jokic, who last year got kind of embarrassed by a Timberwolves team that nobody expected to take them to 7 games, we knew they had a good defense. Yeah, gifted. You know what I mean? Okay, now I can't.
You had to raise my hand.
Yeah, he gifted it.
I stood on my business there.
Yeah, actually, I do remember you specifically saying that
I was like, they're down 3-2. They're forced game 7. They're gonna win game 7. I was on that. He was. But right, if that's Jokic, he's already had 3 MVPs in which he's been bounced out of the playoffs for. But slander on his name is non-existent, mainly because you couldn't place a blame on Jokic at all. The same way you wouldn't place the blame on LeBron for losing them finals. You can't place the blame on these guys. But how much do these awards matter? Like I said this to somebody, I should have said it to Swiper in Indiana. But when we had that conversation about 2011, I should have said, Swiper, if LeBron wins MVP in 2011, then proceeds to have the worst finals ever by a superstar, wouldn't that be worse for his legacy right now? I'm glad that LeBron didn't win MVP that year and went through. And then the next year came back more aggressive with a better jump shot, locked in on defense, and won 2 straight MVPs and 2 straight championships. Like I want to highlight a comment real quick in the chat. So this was said by player 1. It's not even that complicated. When 2 players are both having historic seasons and one guy's team is ahead by as much as OKC is, then that's your MVP. You can't take team success out. That's kind of my point. Like I want someone to go through NBA history, because I could be ignorant, right? But go through the history of the MVP award. Find me a season where there's a player that's having a historic season for the position and for the league as a whole, and they're more than 11 games ahead of the other guy contending for the award, and they don't win it. That's my biggest thing. If the gap wasn't as big, okay, cool, I hear you, but it's too wide of a gap team success-wise, and Shea, again, is having a dominant statistical season where, again, his plus when he's on the floor is higher than Nikola Jokic's. Not saying Jokic doesn't deserve it. He does. But that context of team success and individual play with context to the multiple good players for OKC that have a great value when they play, who didn't play, and they still won in spite of that, matters for why Shea is the MVP. I don't think it's that crazy to say that.
Yeah. Another thing too, if you look at like just the way I look at it too is, you take a guy like Nikola Jokic and the season that he is having, like any other season, either one of the 2 of them is winning an MVP. So my biggest thing with this is, and this is another reason why I said, if Jokic wins the MVP, will I be kind of shocked? A little bit. Will I say, nah, Shea got robbed, Jokic don't deserve it? No, bro. Same thing, vice versa. Same exact thing, vice versa. Now, if Giannis were to win it, I'd have a problem. I'm not gonna lie. Not to say Giannis ain't deserve it, but I would have a significant.
That's
problem.
where the problem would come in, right? And that's
right.
And not to say that, because Giannis in almost any other season is in that MVP talk. At worst, maybe number 2, but this year he's number 3, and it's not even close for him to be that close to the other 2.
It's not even a talking point,
right? It's no point in even bringing up Giannis if you're having a legitimate MVP conversation for this year, and that's because of the season that the other 2 are having, which are incredible seasons.
I mean, that's kind of my point. Like, that's why to me it's so disingenuous when people bring up teams like, oh, well, you say best player, best team. Sure, best player, best team. The best player on the best team is not always near the same caliber of the other top players. Again, Devin Booker was never going to win MVP over Nikola Jokic when he won that season. Why? Because Jokic was clearing him as a player, right? I had to me, most of the times your MVP has to be a certain caliber of player, or it has to be a historical team season. It has to be one or the other. Shea is doing both. So to me, when you have both, that bridges the gap.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
Man, this is some good ass ethical hoops. Shout out
listen.
from the logo, boy.
Real
Listen,
talk. Real talk.
listen, we love, we're not spending 40 minutes talking about Fran VanVleet's defense. But with that said, let's talk about some of the other players over the course of NBA history that have missed out after having great seasons, who missed out on winning MVP. Of course, first one that probably comes to mind, is the 2005-06 LeBron. Is that the right year? Is that the Derrick Rose year?
I think it's Derrick Rose year.
2011,
that's Derrick Rose year. Of course, that comes to mind. Jokic could be on this list another year. I think there's a case that could be made as well for 2007-08, Chris Paul over Kobe Bryant.
Oh yeah.
That's just a point that I'm making there. But who do you guys think?
I mean, for me, I really feel like it has to be Jokic the year we saw Joel Embiid win it. And mainly because I remember watching every dribble of that season. It's etched in my brain because of how recent it is. And I remember like Jokic was the most dominant player. Like, I tracked it, right? Steph Curry is underrated that season too, because at the beginning of the year, Steph had a 70% true shooting for like the first 2 months. Then I think he stopped playing for like a while. And then Jokic just kept dominating. So now I was like, all right, it's clearly Jokic now. And then it came a point where voters were saying, can we give him 3 straight MVP? Like the way Jokic was talked about before he won, people were acting as if he wasn't that much better than prime DeMarcus Cousins. That was a real thing going on in the actual media landscape. You had former players saying, how can we let Jokic be the next big man? Tim Duncan didn't do it. Hakeem didn't do it, because that's how significant it was to win 3 MVPs in a row, right? Mm-hmm. That's how real that was. So a lot of people, based on the historical precedent it would have set, had an agenda to not want to vote for Jokic. But then we had a pity MVP, because with Joel Embiid, he was a player that never got over that hump, was playing good basketball, and it was coinciding at a time where after Denver clinched up their 1 seed, they started losing to under 500 teams.
They did. You're right.
We saw Jokic's defense in those games, and they tried to say, oh, well, it has to be Embiid, despite the fact that for the entire 82, Jokic played more and flat out dominated more months of individual play than Joel Embiid did. So to me, Jokic already has the biggest robbery for me personally.
Okay. That's fair. I mean, shit. Honestly, for me, I used to say it was 06 until I looked back into the season itself. A lot of people, so 05, right? Steve Nash, when he won his first one, people have said that one is another one that is legitimately a robbery, right? And when you look at where the Suns were in 2004 compared to what they were after Nash got there, you understand why he won MVP. In 2006, Amari Stoudemire played 3 games that year. The Suns won 54 games, but they were the 4th seed, I believe, in the mighty Western Conference. Now, that to me, given the circumstances of that, I could see why he won the back-to-back. But for me, because the Western Conference was so stacked in that year, y'all can look up the 06 standings, right? Because the West was so stacked in that year, I understand Amari not playing 3 games. I get it. But damn it, if Kobe wasn't, I mean, Kobe has Smush Parker and Kwame Brown to work with there. Like, and what's that nigga name? Chris Mims? Was that his name? Chris Mims? Was that who's the white dude?
I don't know.
He just had ass on top of ass cheek, everything. 35, 36 points a game is what Kobe was giving you. There was nights where he was outscoring teams in 3 quarters, the Dallas Mavericks. There was nights where he's giving you 50-point stretches over 4 games. Like everything that we saw in James Harden's MVP, not even his MVP year, because 2019 Harden was the one that was averaging 36 a game, right? Not 2018 MVP Harden. The year after Harden won, I think he averaged. Yeah. And in that year, he was going stupid. But you remember the conversations.
Dominant.
Y'all remember the combos they was putting Harden in during that year. And even in that year, I was like, Giannis walked away with it. Did Giannis deserve it? You can make a legitimate argument. There's no other way to look. So for me, when I look at all of them, I say the only robbery that I can really say is 06. And that's because I used to think it was a robbery. Then I thought it wasn't a robbery. And then I looked back at it on the standings. And I was like, yo, you could have went Kobe here. I think they could have gave Kobe a leeway there. I really do.
Yeah, there's a conversation to be made about that. And I think that all that, like, when you bring everything together, it all goes back to like every year the MVP is his own story, right? And I think a part of this, if we're gonna have an ethical conversation about MVP, is that I don't like the whole thing where it's like we're tired of giving MVP to XYZ player, because if they're still the best player that year, they still deserve to be the MVP.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that's happened so much as we go through the players on this cover. Well, a few times as we go through players, like they're so dominant that you feel like you have to give it to somebody else. Why? If they're still that dominant, they should still be the MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Or am I tripping on that?
So here's my thing with that. The only thing that makes me think, okay, why won't they do what you just said? Why won't they give it to the best player? Why doesn't LeBron have 6 MVPs right now? Right? The reason for that, to me, based off what I think the general public would probably, like, their perception would be, is, think about it. If LeBron won MVP from 2011 to 2018, all years in which he was absolutely dominant, especially 2018. Let's talk about 2018 Bron for a second. All right. Now let me just, if y'all forgot about 2018 Bron, let me just bring y'all back to reality for a second. All right. 2018 LeBron started the year off with 2017, 2018 Bron started the year off with Derrick Rose, Isaiah Thomas, and Dwayne Wade on his team. All right. Found out real quick shit wasn't as sweet as they thought. Trade away some players midseason. The leftovers of what they have are Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson from the championship team, and I think J.R. Smith. So you factor all of that in, and you look at George Hill coming to that squad. Bro was a bum that year. I like George Hill when he was with the Pacers. He was a bum for the Cleveland Cavaliers. There's a reason why he missed those crucial free throws late in game one. He was literally shaking like a stripper at the free throw line. But LeBron had to work with that. Matthew Dellavedova, Jordan Clarkson was on that team. Like LeBron, and for all of that, LeBron ended up as the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. For all of that, walked through the playoffs with 2 7-game series where he himself, if he didn't perform slightly to the degree of expectations, they would have lost multiple games in that series. Bro was averaging insane numbers for a series. Damn near 30-point triple doubles is what LeBron was putting up. So when you think about the load that LeBron had to carry that year in comparison to a Rockets team that had Chris Paul on it, right? That had Trevor Ariza, Gerald Green, Clint Capella, the whole, like, if you look at that and you say who was the best player in basketball that year, it was LeBron. Who was the most valuable player to their team? Because y'all know that argument. You take LeBron off this team, they don't even. 2018, if you take LeBron off that team, they don't sniff. They are a lottery team. They are a lottery picking next year. Like that's what it is. That is one of the one times that I can definitively say that. Like, no question. You take Harden off that Rockets team, they're still a winning basketball team with Chris Paul leading the way.
Yeah.
See how I look at it, bro, and like maybe this is the wrong way to look at it. I look at it as a season in a vacuum and what shifts things, right? So here, for instance, right? If I know that Golden State has 7 wins, right? And they're the clear best team in basketball, but we're not saying one of Steph Curry or KD, who, by the way, we're playing at that level to win MVP, but we're not giving it to them because they basically take away from each other's greatness. If that's the logic, then to me, your criteria is no longer focused on the ceiling a player brings the team to. Instead, it's about what would that team be without them. I feel like number one. And then after you go down, if there's an 8-game gap and there's 2 players who are having historically dominant seasons, that's where you have to choose between those 2 players. To me, when you're having the season and there's a win gap and your next best player misses a ton of games, I just feel like it's you almost run away. Like I would need Jokic to do something where it's even at an even higher level, which might sound crazy, but I just don't think you can take team success out of the MVP award every single year, especially when you have team success with your own historical dominance. I think that's just too much going your way at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, MVP conversations are interesting to have because like each season is its own story, and Gifty, you're absolutely right on that one. And this season is just taking a turn, and I'm glad that we're able to have just a normal basketball conversation about the MVP, because I don't know if y'all seen something. It's getting crazy out there, bro. It's getting crazy out there.
It's getting
Like,
crazy out here, bro.
yeah, it is what it is there. Y'all want to get into PC talk, or do y'all want to get into the March Madness talk?
I
Honestly,
think
I want Gifted to get his shit off.
I kind of
Gifty.
feel like we should do March Madness first to get that out the way.
All right.
All right, cool.
And I'm
So
gonna let
it's
Hayes take point because, in my opinion, Hayes knows his shit about college hoops. I'm very much a casual,
Oh,
so I
yeah.
defer to
Hayes,
Hayes a
you
lot.
got it. You got it.
yeah, cool. I got it. So like, yeah, college hoops, very much ingrained in college hoops. I probably watch as much college hoops as I do NBA, like especially around this time of year. So this is, as I think most people are aware, this is supposed to be a very deep draft class, right? Like everybody's talking about this draft class, the potential that it has, all that, fine and dandy. And a lot of people do look, and I don't mean that as like a slight to anybody, but there are a lot of people who mainly when they have a chance to watch NCAA basketball, it's during the tournament time, right? So this is a time where a lot of people are watching more basketball than ever. And with a deep draft class, there's a lot of players that you can look at and talk about and see how this is affecting their draft stock. So I wanted to take the positive spin because I started to take the negative spin and look at players whose draft stock got hurt with the worst. But I figured let's be more positive about it. And
Okay.
one of the guys that I think we got to talk about first, who's helped their draft stock the most so far, is Derek Queen. Derek Queen, throughout this NCAA tournament so far, has gone from a player that was initially talked to being right outside the lottery, like late teens, 18 around is where a lot of mocks had him going. Of course, it's a game winner in that it's already going to help, but as a 6'10, 250-pound center that plays below the rim, this guy's been playing crazy well. Have you guys gotten to watch any of Maryland in the tournament?
Yeah, his post game had me weak. It was like, I'm from Baltimore. I was like, hey, okay, word, bro, a dog, ain't it?
Yeah, I really haven't seen him. I recently saw the clip of the game winner, crazy game winner.
Mm-hmm.
My instant question for Hayes is based on the fact that people said before he was going to be slightly outside of the lottery. Do you think what he's doing in the tournament is closer to who he actually is, or do you think it's a bit of fluff?
No, here's the thing. The it's a mixture of both. The thing with Derek Queen is that he's a guy that, because he is undersized and because he does play below the rim, the things that you want to look at for him are his footwork, which are really good, right? And I think how you project him to be a mid-range shooter and a three-point shooter is going to help. Not to say he has to be like take a whole volume of threes, but if he has an ability to take them, but also his ball handling, right? So I think that he's closer still. I would still have him upside wise. I can see him going in the lottery. If you're talking about like in this draft, though, like I still think around 14, 15 is like a really good spot for him. He's going to go higher than that. But I think at the NBA level, like you're looking at a guy that how much he can adapt to pick and pops, pick and rolls, and in the mid range. That's going to be an important part because only 18% of his offense right now is coming in the mid range. He's shooting a decent percentage, but only 18% of his offense is that. In the NBA, you're going to have to hit that mid range shot a lot more.
Yep.
And three ball is pretty big too, no?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for a fact. But I don't know if I predict Derek Queen to ever be like, he's one of those guys where if you're left open and the defense collapses, great, shoot the three ball. I just don't know if the 3-point shot is ever going to really be a main part of his offense, so to say.
I mean, shoot, when you look at I'll tell you this, never say never when it comes to big men being able to shoot in the NBA. And I will say that because I grew up watching when Brook Lopez was in his prime in Brooklyn. And I remember just distinctively watching when he first started getting that 3-point shot to knock down. He started from the corner, and over the span of that season and seasons that followed, he just continued to get better year by year and work on the three. And then you look at the way commentators talk about Brook Lopez now is that is the model for every big that comes into this version of the NBA, not the version that you saw as a kid or your granddad saw when he was a kid. No, you got to be able to shoot you got to be, like you said, if the defense closes out, they should not look at you and be like, we'll live. Because a lot of teams with this run and gun style of pace and offense, you don't have the ball in your hand, you got to knock it down. So that begs this question, Hayes. What team would benefit him the most in your eyes?
That's a great question. Honestly, I'll say this, and it depends on whether they fall in the lottery. But if you put Derek Queen on a team with Wemby on the Spurs, because I think the way that it would work is that Derek Queen could operate as the center on defense, allow Wemby to be the power forward there, and they could flip flop on offense. I think that especially if that mid-range shots work out for him, I think that would be a really good spot for him, depending on where the Spurs pick ends up. I think right now they have like the 10th worst record in the league. That's not a bad spot for Derek Queen to go to in that, especially with already having a point guard. I would love that pick. They already got guards. They got wings. I think that can ease up some. Wemby can do more of his floating outside thing, mid-range thing, and let Derek Queen bang as a center on the offensive side of the ball.
How good is his defense? Because, like, my thing is he's 6'10". I'm not sure if that'll cut it as a full-time 5 in the modern NBA, maybe, but I'm feeling more of like a power forward that can do different things because his ball handling looks pretty solid in transition. So that could be something, but his defense to me is really going to be the key to how high his floor can be as a player.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree with that. Like that, and even then, like if he does turn into more of that because I look at him like he's a more athletic Al Horford is basically the way I look at it.
Okay.
So I think that he can turn into a center at the next level, especially if he's playing next to a guy like Wemby, who you kind of can interchange and how you use them. The positions don't really matter there. But he's gonna defensively, he's active, and I think that's always a thing that you look at for players that aren't necessarily the best on-ball defenders in college. Is that he's active, he's engaged, he doesn't fall asleep on defense at all. It's just sometimes that the IQ thing can get to him a little bit sometimes.
I hear you on that for sure. Okay.
All right. The next player to go to that I wanted to bring up that I called out here, Igor Dimin, BYU point guard. This is not a guy that you hear a lot about in the draft, even though he's been projected basically since before the NCAA tournament started to go towards the top 10. But this is a guy that I think at 6'9", great size for a point guard. The shooting from deep is going to really, he's only shooting 28% from deep. But as a player that me and you talked about, Gifted, before he started talking about, he's a more athletic, kind of like a Josh Giddey type player.
Okay.
So I think that he's done really good work in the tournament, especially against that they're opening 2 games and which he played really good in, and he's even shown and flashed sometimes that he can shoot. So I think if you get him with the right shooting coach, he'll be fine. But Dimin is one of those guys that if you get to a sound coach that runs really good pick and roll, he's really good rebounder, starting the fast break, finishing the fast break with his passing. I think that this is a guy that a lot of people could fall in love with at the next level.
Okay, cool. I want to ask you something too.
Go ahead.
I haven't heard much about Ace Bailey lately.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ace too. Yeah.
Where are you guys at with him? Because I heard earlier in the season, like his shot ability was good, but in terms of him like consistently pressuring the basket, that part of his game is still lacking. I heard people like really trying to debate who's better between Cooper Flagg and him. What is his ceiling still? Has it lowered for you, Hayes, or no?
Well, the thing that you don't hear a lot about them is because he was on the team that was supposed to be a super team in college this year, and they went 15-17. They sucked. They were terrible. So that's why you didn't hear a lot. Like his upside is still tremendous. Ace Bailey has the chance to be still, I think, the best player in this draft. I, of course, still think Cooper because he's shown it more. But Ace Bailey, what he brings at 6'10" and his ability to isolate, I think he's going to be successful at the next level. I just don't think it's going to be necessarily as seamless as people thought right away. Like it may take the majority of his rookie year for him to really acclimate to the NBA game, but once he does, he's still going to be a stud.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm still rocking with him.
Yeah, but there's a lot of guys in this, man. I don't want to balk it down, especially with it not being as I know I get up on NCAA basketball, but last guy, Walter Clayton out of Florida. Dude's a stud, man.
Walter
Absolute
Clayton,
stud.
you said, okay.
Somebody said him.
Yeah, he scored
in the chat
23 points in both the first 2 games for Florida in the NCAA tournament. He made 38% of his threes on almost 8 attempts per game, 8 or 9 attempts per game as well. This is a guy that we'll see where he goes at the next level, but look out for a player we're talking about just rising their stock. He's a guy that I think he has a lot of experience. He's probably going to go late first round, but if you're looking for anybody who ends up being considered a steal in the late first round, Clayton's that guy. So
he can shoot
for that there, but nonetheless, man, we deterred it long enough. Let's get into the PCL because our boy Gifted cooked somebody up a little bit, man.
All right, so I'm gonna do this right now.
Let me mute myself.
All right, bro. Like, okay, so I have a huge problem with the PCL, and I think my main problem is the word seriousness. Okay. I'm using this word because when I went back and watched every single debate, which I want to pause right there, before saying who you have winning a debate and running with that narrative for multiple weeks, it would aid some of y'all to actually watch the debate again. Shocker. Watching a debate in full to see who won actually matters. I did this for a lot of contestants. I gotta say, we had some shit debaters this year in the PCL. I'm sorry. Some of y'all should never have a microphone in front of your mouth again to talk basketball. Some of y'all make the worst of points. And I get it. It's your first time. Things happen in your first time. I hear all that. But when you're legitimately making an argument for Dame and Giannis to be the best duo in basketball, you cannot start out your round by saying Dame and Giannis play better without each other. What are we doing? Why would you tell the crowd Dame and Giannis can play better when they're not on the floor and then argue them to be the best duo? And then in your third round saying, and we know they play well together, despite the fact that you told us in your first round they don't play well together. So, like, I need some of y'all to, like, understand watching basketball is different than talking basketball. But talking basketball is different than debating basketball. There are 3 tiers to this hoop talk shit, in my opinion. That's number 1. Number 2, Penn. Listen, I'm gonna just get to it. All right. I don't have a personal issue with Penn. It's always come from Penn starting some shit and me finishing it because I'm not gonna take disrespect. Right? Penn, for you of all people to be focused on me saying I got gifted rounds, I watched back your debate. I watched back the topics you got. Oh, it's so difficult to be the GM of Oklahoma City, who should have been banned as a team because they clearly have the runaway talent, all the picks in the league. Oh, like you got gifted way more topics than I've seen Hayes or ZZ or even myself get gifted. And you're talking shit. The same guy that like was in the chat during mine, which no disrespect to Renegade. Shout out to Renegade. This man Renegade during our debate says he's a fan of mine, and then Penn out of nowhere in the chat like, oh my God, Gifty got fans? That's weird. Now, Hayes, I'll make something, right? If you don't focus somebody, but you still have to be around them / work with them in some type of overall proximity, you're not going out of your way to spam that person. You're just not going to talk about them. I don't care. But the fact that I'm getting like mentioned up repeatedly over and over and over, to me, I feel like it's because you got something personal. And if it had to be something, which is what I said in the PC thing when I came up, it would have to start from the Cade Cunningham episode where you were up there legitimately debating that the Pistons were better without Cade because of their record when Cade was on the floor versus off. Like they weren't the worst team. Like, why did it matter? It was dumb. It was a stupid talking point. Right? So I think that kind of like transferred over to this. And then you kept talking about me over and over in comments, all this and all that. And then when I come on the stage, Hayes, I'm making points. But the narrative, because this is very important, the narrative that's being painted is, oh, Gifted just has a loud microphone and he's a bully. I'm not Ticket, right? I'm not these other loud people that just be loud and not saying shit. I'm making points, but you can't get it through your thick skull that has a stats degree what real points are. Maybe that's why you're not that good of a debater. But independent of that, I'm making these points, Hayes, and he says, you shut up, Gifted, you shut up. That's why you got that Puma hoodie on. Yeah, I wear this for a reason. Yes, it's a Puma hoodie. Ironically, because you have a Puma hat on. So your point, like, doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of like holes in your logic, but I guess I'm just being loud. I guess I'm just yapping. Right. So, like, I don't know. It's weird. But on a serious note, I like where the PCL is going this upcoming week. We got a lot of banger battles. Hayes versus Brax. Brax is a good debater. I've been in contact with Brax. Brax said he's locked in. He really wants to go for it for Hayes. He respects Hayes and thinks it could be a very good battle. I know Hayes already wired the same way. So I think that's going to be a phenomenal battle. You got the ZZ versus Ox matchup where Ox is just a wild card. You never know the energy he's going to hit people with. And then you got me versus Jordan. And trust me, I don't care who I debate. But the fact that there was such a long, extended talking point about my round being rigged more than Chill and Mike's round being rigged, which respect to Chill. I think Chill is a good basketball mind, but if we're just being unbiased and we're watching the battles, I don't know how Chill beat Mike. I just don't. So there's going to be chips on many people's shoulders, especially mine, for this second round. And I'm excited for it. So that's my opening statement on PCL. But in the future, I want to see if y'all agree. We need to do some shit where judges or contestants, whoever's involved in the PCL, does a player's choice stream where we literally just sit back and watch the debates and give commentary. Something. Because there's so many people that lose the plot, that leave a battle with such a foolish like result, or that are bots who just follow what their favorite content creator is saying, despite thinking for themselves and evaluating a battle. I think there needs to be a player's choice stream, which I've been on record saying this before, where you go through a debate, you reference why this point is ass, why this point is good, and why a person wins or loses a round. So there's no gray area about it. Me personally.
That's a great idea, Gifted. I actually fuck with that. The only problem is that we all know that PC ain't doing that shit, bro. They not gonna do that shit. And then the reason that they ain't gonna do it is because, like, for example, I'm going into this battle with Ox, right? Now, for some reason, I will say this. Somebody left a comment on one of the last PCLs, and they were like, or not even one of the last PCLs. I think it was after that stream that Gifted came by and said hello to Pen on. The thing with me and the PCL is there seems to be a lot of like, just like somebody said, hey, I don't know who it was. Somebody was like, if you're in the chat during the PCL, like trying to sway voters or whatever, to me, I don't really look at it like that. The PCL it was 32 people, right? 32.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So of course, there's money on the line here. Let's remind everybody there's money on the line.
But you forget about that, seeing how some of these motherfuckers came up there talking.
You're right. You
Forget that there's 5,000 on the line, but you're stammering and making points against yourself in your first round.
And here's the thing too. Somebody was like, because I came up on that stream, on the playback stream, just because I found out I was going against Ox.
Yeah.
And some people were like, oh, ZZ shouldn't go through. And I'm like, I shouldn't go through. And nigga, I was on time. What?
That's what I don't understand.
You know
what did you have done about your opponent not showing up?
What on earth? This is a message. This is a message not just to those who question why I advance, but genuinely, what was I supposed to do? If you get told, hey, look, you need to be here at this time, you got these topics, pick a side and get ready to debate, and you show up to the debate, and then the other dude can't show up to the debate, what's supposed to happen? Oh, my bad, bro. I'll take a step back because you couldn't. Y'all got me fucked up. Y'all got me fucked up. Now, look, at the same time, my name has been thrown around in the mix between a lot of different panelists and debaters, which is fine. I have no issue with that. The way there's Ox.
What's good, Ox?
Ox. Where you at? That's the wrong one. There's Ox right there. My name has been thrown around. Right now, I will say that I already knew how Ox was gonna come with this whole thing anyway. Ox, I'm not gonna be surprised if Ox shows up in a suit and tie for our debate.
Would not be surprised in the slightest.
I wouldn't be surprised if he showed up in a king's crown or something, like whatever it is. I'm just gonna show up to debate. I'm gonna do what I always do. I'll show up, you give me Batman prep time, and you give me a live microphone, and you sit back and you be entertained. That's what I do. I don't talk shit about nobody. I don't even like talking shit about people, especially when it comes to a debate league that's being done through the lenses of our web cameras.
Yeah.
Another thing too that I will say is and I had this discussion with Ox before. Me and Ox talking about this in Indy and Bama. Shout out Bama. We miss you, dog. Why is everybody so aggressive on the internet, bro? And I say that to say, why? Like, for example, Gifted, you and Penn's little rift. The fact that it started over, what'd you say? It was Cade Cunningham.
It was over. It was over Cade Cunningham. Me just saying Cade Cunningham is a good player. Him and this Fred VanVleet kink that he seems to have, because he was very mad that he was very mad at the idea that I thought Cade could be better than Fred VanVleet. So then he mentions VORP, which like is a stat that relies on availability. So if you're not available, your VORP's not going to be as high. And then he named players like Santi Aldama having higher VORPs than Cade as an indicator that maybe Cade isn't that good. And then to buffer that point, ZZ said, well, if you look at the Pistons record, the Pistons have a higher record without Cade than with Cade when they won like 14 games in the whole season. What does it fucking matter?
Nah, you can't do that.
It's a non-point. It's a non-point to me. So yeah, but maybe he got mad at me because unlike everyone else, I wasn't just letting the shit go. Like I'm like, no, you said some bull, because I feel like if we're having a basketball conversation, right? If Hayes said some bullshit, brother or not, friend or not, I'm gonna check him on that and we're gonna have a conversation because it's basketball talks. Like, why do I have to just sit here and let you say some bullshit for the sake of the show? I thought making our talks more beneficial, more meaningful, is just keeping it a band, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, if you're using the Pistons record last year when they barely won any games at all to suggest that Cade was ass, I think that's dumb. I said it at the time. I'm saying it right now. After Cade is having a much improved season where, oh shit, now people are saying he's all NBA caliber. Cade is Cade. I don't really think it's crazy to say that.
If you watched not Gifted, I will yes and you on this because and Hayes, you were with us too. When we were doing From the Logo around this time last year during last season, and the Pistons were in the midst of incredible greatness from a losing scale. The one thing that we all definitively, like collectively, even the chat, y'all was in it too. The one thing that we collectively agreed on was that if there's anybody who is the least to blame for Detroit's mess, it's Cade. Now, if you wanted to throw blame on Cade based off of how well he's performing in fourth quarters this year compared to what he was doing in fourth quarters last year, then I'll listen to that. But in no way, shape, or form would I still say that Cade was the reason they were losing last year. No, the team as a whole, Monty Williams, and just everything about Detroit was just not good. Okay, Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr. are veterans. They literally didn't have veterans last year. If anything, the fact that when you look at what Cade is doing on this season, career highs from points, rebounds, assists, and shooting splits, all of it, right? This is who, but Gifted, I'm not surprised at this level of the production from Cade because this is what we expected of Cade, right? When I was watching Pistons games, I said one or two things is going to happen in Cade's career because he's going to be a star. Either Detroit's going to be good or he's going to get the fuck out of Detroit. But Cade himself, the player, is not going to rot away over here. It's not going to happen. Because Detroit used to be a team where you go over there and your career dies. Blake Griffin, Derrick Rose, right? Like you go over there and it's like, well, let's get the last good seasons up out of you before we ship you off all across the damn league. Blake Griffin was performing at his best when he got to Detroit. It was a proving ground, is what Detroit used to be. Now Cade is changing that culture this year. And where are they at? If I'm not mistaken, still 6 seed, right?
They locked up the playoffs right now. Detroit has clinched the playoffs. They're not going to be in the play-in.
Let's talk about it. Detroit has clinched the playoffs.
And if you're telling me that one season is if you're telling me, right, one season is the difference between Cade clearing Fred VanVleet and being worse than Fred VanVleet, I just think that's stupid. Me personally. Like that's not shade. It's me being honest with what it is. So I don't, amen. But I'm super excited for PCL. We know the topics and all that. Hayes, how are you feeling about your first round matchup with Brax?
I'm excited. I'm excited about all these. I'm like, like the energy I'm coming with is very different than last year, right? I think like last year in the PCL, after the first one, I was overly aggressive. So I'm just chilling right now, man. I'm
He's a little mellowed
enjoying it.
out now.
I'm a little bit more mellow. Well, they had me battle Dion twice, so it was like it's hard not to get frustrated when that's who they putting in front of you as competition. But so this one with Brax, I'm really looking forward to. Brax is a great basketball mind. I think the topics that we have are really, really good. I'm excited for it. You know what I am excited about is that the one I had with Mtel, I know there was the rivalry aspect of it, but it really just was like it was a good debate. Like we just had a good debate. It was no underhanded shit. It was just us coming in, debating. We had fun with it. Me and Brax are gonna have a great fun debate as well.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to be what's gonna be, man. Now don't get it twisted. I'm still Petty Roosevelt, and that side of me can still very well come out. It's just so far it's been no need for it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So I'm saying you don't have to do that, Hayes. You don't have to. That's the thing. Last year you were provoked, and then it happened. That's why I defended you shows after that. I was like, yeah, Hayes, let them know. All right, they ain't know what I knew, but let them know. All right. so it was warranted. This year, like you said, Hayes has been mellowed out, point driven, straight to his debate points, and you can tell he's just a lot more not because here's the thing, Hayes last year in the PCL, you never lacked confidence. It was just the securing of your own arguments. Like my thing is I try the hardest not to get to a yelling point, right? If I can get my points off in the most nonchalant voice possible, that's gonna probably make you want to keep the conversation afloat and make, you know what I'm saying? Like we're not gonna need to go back and forth. We're not gonna need to set it off. Now I will say, me and Ox, it will be must-see TV. All right.
Oh, it's gonna feed families. Like it's gonna be.
I have no choice but to give y'all something entertaining because I did not get a chance to show you in the round of 32. Now I have to do something in the last Sweet 16. So I'll try my hardest. But me and Ox got some good. I think all of us have good topics. Genuinely.
Yeah, we all have good topics, and I think for me, more importantly, now that I'm going up against a person that I know of that has battles out there that like I have more like I really feel like the chip that I already had on my shoulder is a lot bigger now. Really for no reason. Like I'm taking this very personal in terms of like, okay, like I hear all the yaps, all this and all that. Okay, let's lock in then. Yeah. So like I'm just waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, and that's kind of the approach. Last year, I felt like I came in with a chip on my shoulder because that first battle with Chill, everybody was like, "Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who's Hayes?" So I felt like I had to make sure that they knew, right? Like now, I feel like people know me. They know I'm a great debater. With time, there's not that many people that can articulate a point like me. That I'm not saying that makes me the best debater. I'm just saying that like I feel like I can articulate my points very, very well. And I do like as well, like we got more time. Last year in the PCL, there were times I didn't have my debate, my topics until 2 days before the debate. So
no, you're right about that.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing about that. The prep time is, fluctuate a little bit.
Yeah. I'm literally I've been locking myself in rooms and surrounding myself with darkness, and the only light in the room is the computer screen. And my little notepad that I got, jotting down what I can. But I'm taking this like I said, you learn from last PCL what you really kind of need to do or what type of approach you need to take.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
Having more prep time. So like, bro, my girl is in on this too. She understands. Like, you give me, I need an hour and a half alone so I can research and lock the hell in. And she understands. It's $5,000 on the line. Goddamn. Like we gotta everybody got to lock in. Everybody
I'm building the new custom PC this summer. I need that 5K.
No, Hayes. On God though. Listen, I Chad. This for all my nerds out there. I'm trying to get the RTX 5090. I'm trying to get that new chipset. Like it's.
Oh, you got money?
Yeah. No, Hayes, listen. I need to listen, Hayes. I'm a very humble guy. I save a lot of my bread, but best believe if I can get my build off this shit, I'm trying to lock. So if I can lock, I can lock. Them shits is not cheap. So like,
hey, bro, my last computer cost about $6,000-7,000 to build.
Yeah, it'd be like that.
Yeah,
It really be
so
like that.
I need all of that because if I can avoid paying out of pocket for that, I need all of that. But no, I think, and I also think this, like this, that first opening day, there's still some debaters in here that still got a lot to prove. And I'll use this guy's name because we're like brothers and we actually talk outside of this. SB, my brother, you got to do better.
Yeah, yo. Let's talk
like,
about that debate, please. Cause like Hayes, I'm telling you, I literally have made it a thing where I schedule a day. So if it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whatever, where I react to whatever PCL debates I miss. So I've watched every debate. I've watched some 2 or 3 times. That SB versus Ryan debate is one of the worst debates I've seen on both sides by far and away. For one, Ryan, the look on his face when SB said he had Jokic and Jamal Murray was priceless because he clearly did not know that he took them. Also, for Ryan to then say, I was thinking about Cat Brunson, how are you not thinking about Jokic and Jamal Murray? That just tells me you're not really in the mix of watching basketball at number one. But number two, for SB to then somehow still almost lose with Jokic and Jamal Murray is crazy because for some reason he thought, okay, I need to say that Jokic's best self is unlocked. Like, no, Jokic does not need Jamal Murray to be good. He started taxing Jokic's wins without Jamal Murray to say, like, yeah, he needs Jamal. No, just make your point about how they play. That was bad out of him. I'm not gonna lie.
Look, I will say too, SB going up against Chill.
Oh no, Chill's definitely motivated because listen, I have a lot of respect for Chill, right? I really, really do.
Yeah,
I think on a day-to-day he gets a lot of shit. But no troll, he really lost every round. I'm being like he really lost every individual round that I saw. I replay everything he was saying. He was lying his shit. It was a lot of things he was saying that were factually incorrect in his debate. He got through. It is what it is. But Chill 100%, regardless of whatever animosity he had towards Mike, he cannot treat SB that same way. He got to put belt to ass. So I'm,
the thing too, Chill, and I have the utmost respect for Chill.
Oh, 7 grams, probably real quick. I'm sorry, 7 grams swish. Like this is why I hate niggas, right? You say in chat, no, he didn't, and that shows me you are a bot. Because if you watch the actual rounds and we break down what was said, he clearly lost all rounds. It's not even hate. It's breaking down points that were objectively made, in my opinion, right? Now, if you come to Chill, I want you to explain your rationale for every round, but I've watched that debate 3 times to make sure. Initially, I'm like, okay, I have Mike maybe 2-1. I watched it 3 different times. Like, analyzing and bringing critical thinking back is what we need. Hayes, they're dismantling the board of education or trying to right now. It's a lot of shit going on in this world. Bring back critical thinking. Take away dick sucking. That's what we need, Hayes.
You said it on the stream last year. Dick riding is dangerous.
Dick riding is dangerous, bro. It's extremely dangerous. It's extremely dangerous, bro. I'm telling you.
There'll be a lot of dick riding in the comments, bro, and it is what it is. But that's the nature of it, right? And I think that this is the thing, right? This is why I do like that the chat doesn't really have a place in the actual voting. Yeah. Not to knock the chat, but because people I do feel like there's a level of the debate where the stats, the numbers that you bring up, they have to be true, because I can throw out some numbers and make it sound like my argument's great. And the people in the chat that don't have time to fact check, they're just listening to the debate. It sounds great, but there's that debate. Chill was capping a little bit. And again, all respect to Chill, but there are some things that he brought up that you just look at and you're saying,
I'll say
that was not true at all.
I'll say this too. And I love Chill. Chill knows that.
Bro, there's a thread of everything he said, Hayes, where they were like literally comparing what he was saying to what was reality. And it was literally like, it was so many cap points. I've never seen a hate thread like that, but I'm like, wow, he really did say all those things.
Now, let me tell you this. The reason that Chill did that is because he was flustered. And Chill don't want to admit this. Mars did it. But Chill got really flustered. And the reason that Mike didn't advance, even though he clearly out-debated Chill, was only because of the camera. That's it. I ain't even trying to be like that. But nigga, I did read the rules before I signed on that dotted line. I did read everything that we have to do. We all got to have our camera on so I can see the points that you're making and hopefully not the points that you're reading. Chilltown, on the other hand, like Mike could have had, if Mike turned his camera on, he would have been Gonzo, swept. He would swept his ass. He would be no debate, no question. We wouldn't even be having this discussion right now. Mike would be prepping right now. But that's it. That's the only reason why he lost. Chill was able to get away with lying, and Chill was. You could tell Chill was pissed in round 1 of that debate. He was because I know Chill. He don't stutter that much. All right, he started, but he don't stutter that much like he was in round 1. He ain't never been that flustered. All right, like come on now. So Chill now has prep time. Now he has the opportunity to let all of that anger and all of that just continue to just flow away out of his system and focus up. Because the one thing about Chill is when he does know his facts, there's almost no one better. Almost. It's like that old head that you're just like, damn, you right, shit. But not in that debate. Chill was capping his ass off.
I can be so specific because again, I've seen it 3 times. It's no hate, okay? Here's how the entire first round went. Boston Celtics are the team to beat. They won the title. Porzingis unlocked so many things for their lineup. And then outside of that, I didn't hear any mention about how their offense can get very stagnant. There wasn't really much of a counterpoint to Porzingis' availability in the playoffs last season, only playing 3 games in the finals. There wasn't much of a counter to how Cleveland can be attacked defensively. The main thing Chill said anti-Cleveland was mainly they haven't proven it yet. When he could have actually gotten really surgical with the flaws in their starting lineup, he didn't do any of that. Mike did more of those things than Chill did in that round. Then when you get down to the famed Tyrese Maxey, James Harden argument, he said Tyrese Maxey was a better playmaker than James Harden. He said Tyrese Maxey was better in the pick and roll than James Harden.
Tripled down on it since then.
Yes,
bro.
and he's still wrong. So again, that's not me. Sorry, that's not me hating Chill. That's not me trolling. That's me being objective about the points made. And then also in the final round, where, by the way, the topic of the Hornets versus Washington is a nasty ass topic. But even the things you mentioned in there were very limited sample size, and the team he was going up against weren't even healthy in those matchups. So there was just a lot going on where Chill definitely could have brought his A game to have been way better, in my opinion.
I agree. But with all that being said, this is a legacy game, Chill. This is your game 6, 2012.
I think he could cook SB. I'm gonna be honest with you. If Chill isn't playing with SB, Chill could actually get SB up out of here. I'll give SB this stuff. SB has charisma. Initially, I thought SB was doing okay. But then once he got to that second and third round, it's like, what points are you making now, bro?
I think SB let the foot off the gas. I think SB got into because like I said, I know SB, and SB is when you give him time to get his points together, he usually can present it a lot better than that. That's why I like that. Again. And I'm bringing this up because I know I don't want to feel like anybody feel like I'm taking shots at them. And I know me and SB can have a dialogue about it.
Ain't no shots.
SB can do so much better than that. He got to bring it against Chill because if he comes with that same energy he had in that last debate, he gonna get cooked. Period.
All I know is both of them have a legacy game on the line. So we're gonna get some good action.
All I can say is film don't lie. And listen, I'm officially extending an invitation to you and Hayes if y'all want to, bro. I'll watch back all these debates. If you want to watch it back with me at some point this weekend or whatever, we can do that shit because I'm watching the film and I'm like, Hayes, it gets to the point where I'm pausing mid-frame. I didn't like his tone there. I didn't like how he said X, Y, or Z and then lied in his third. Like, I'm writing these things down because to me, a part of a debate is the sequencing matters so much, but you can't go against what you said earlier. If you clearly define a point in round 1, you can't spin the block in round 3 to go against the point you made. I'll say points are for that.
That's right. That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's something you got to, that's the art of the debate, right? Like you got to try to lure somebody in to counteract a point that you are already prepared for what their rebuttal is. And that's something that I feel like some of the better debate. Gifted, you're very good at doing that. Mars is very good at doing that.
Very good at doing that.
I ain't let that nigga do that during our live debate. I tell you that much.
Hey, listen.
I gotta watch that back still.
And I also love the creative editing on that.
Yes.
And we're gonna leave that at that. We're gonna leave that at that. We're gonna leave the creative editing where it is. So
that boy Mars looking like a mutant. But
and we're not like no one up here is shitting on SB too crazy. I'm just being honest about what I saw. I still think SB 3-0. I just think it was one of the weakest 3-0s I've seen in some time. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Look, at the end of the day, if Hayes say that SB can be better, then SB can be better.
Yeah.
I'll take his word on that.
See, that's my thing too, ZZ. Like, I have no problem with people saying that I could have brought my game up to a higher level in my debate, but there's a difference between bringing up a higher level and being cheated for. Like, those are two different things, right? Losing a landslide and then winning is different than not bringing your best self, but still being able to beat somebody.
Exactly. It almost feels like you escaped instead of
winning. And that's not like, come on now, bro.
Right.
We'll see. Any surprise X before we get out of here? That's anybody y'all were surprised by?
Yeah, I had never heard of Nerd Sesh. I think both of them did very well. Logan was cooking.
Yeah.
Logan was like really, really. Now I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea how
Carson,
I'm forgetting his name. Yeah, I have no idea how Carson lost to Jordan. I'm saying this right now to Ron. In the future, take away every LeBron debate, because if you're on the side against LeBron, it's gonna come off as hate, and I just don't think we can have an honest conversation about LeBron until he retires. I just don't think it's possible, because I've seen the other rounds. Listen, I think what happened to Carson is he's making good points, and then in that LeBron debate, he got lost in the sauce and like overstepped a little bit, and I cooked him for that round. But the other two rounds, I thought Carson won. Mm-hmm. So I did not understand how Jordan won that. No shade to Jordan. I'm just evaluating what I saw.
I'll say this too. Shout out to Jordan, because they, I will say, they was acting like Jordan and couldn't communicate with Carson. Jordan came prepared too.
But Jordan was also lying out his ass too, though. Like, he said Pascal Siakam was the same level passer of Halliburton. Bullshit. He said that. No, but see, this how I know niggas don't be rewatching the debates. I know that off top because I watched it back 2 days ago. I'm writing down when you lying, and like, he got away with just saying bullshit. Okay.
No, you're right, because I do remember that Hallie debate. Oh my god, that is hilarious.
To me, it's like, if you say some shit like that, that's got to be like an auto L if you're gonna cap out your ass like that. Respectfully.
That's also why I think, like, I love that in this year's debate so far, it's not a lot of old school stuff. Like, and not to say I love talking old school basketball. Like, I would love to talk 90s, early 2000s basketball, but I think it's like leaving it in the now, it makes it easier
way more sense.
To be more able to be validated and things like that. Because so I think that's a big important part too. Like, overall, the PCL is a lot better this round. Just in the way that it's executed. Still got some things that we need to do. I love that Gifted, in your debate, you were so time
because like bro, hey Hayes, like, I'm not trying to shit on Ron, because again, Ron also gets trolled a ton, and they do the show every day. It's not easy to host a show like this every single day with troll artists and all that, but we got to keep a spade a spade. For there to be 25 seconds left on Mike's round and Chill butts in and you restart the timer to go to the third is crazy to me. The fact that he, in my debate on our third round, the timer stopped, he said, all right, I'm gonna let y'all give y'all final points. No, that time hit zero, that time hit zero. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Gifted is the Chris Paul of the PCL.
Listen,
what?
I think I will be down to be a judge in the future, but I just love debating so much. I'd rather debate. But I legitimately this season have been watching every single PCL debate. I didn't do that last year. I'm doing it this year to keep it okay with what I watched. Mm-hmm. Evaluating to me matters. Like, I hate people that have opinions on shit they barely watch. That's kind of my issue with Penn. Penn heard I had Scotty Barnes off my bench, lost his fucking mind.
Yeah, that's another thing too that I will say. My main issue with that is, look, I don't care what, like, because I've heard some of the crazy shit from I've met so many different people. I've been doing content for 5 years. I've met a multitude of different creators, some of the best and some of the worst of the worst. But I've heard a lot. And in that time, never did I look at any of those creators and hate them or want to hate on them for a basketball take. Okay. The only time that I ever hated on somebody for a basketball take was Shaq. And that was before I found out that Player's Choice is actually not as crazy as it seems to be in clips, in 30-second clips, right? It's before I found out that, Ron, JD, Ox, Dale, like, this is a whole, they real hoop. Okay, word. You know what I'm saying? You got to learn these things. You can't just, like, if I had just went off of my initial reaction of Shaq, me and him wouldn't become as close as we've become over the last 5 years, genuinely. And You know what I'm saying? Like Shaq used to say some of the craziest shit. He still says some of the craziest shit. That's why I love Shaq. But at the end of the day, I don't look at him or hate him more or anything like that because of a basketball opinion. The most subjective thing in basketball can be anything from the GOAT debate to the MVP award, but it's opinionated entirely. So as long as if you have an opinion, if you can back up that opinion with not even like the highest of factual stats, but something that makes me say, okay, you got this statistic or that fact, and that formed this opinion. Fine.
Listen, yeah,
but fine, whatever.
I am so fine with you saying what you want to say. My thing is, if you're saying bullshit and it gets fact checked after the fact, be ready to stand on that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it also, in the debate, if we're being fair, it is up to the person on the opposite side of the debate to point out that they're lying.
Exactly. And I did that shit with Jalen in Deck the Halls.
Now the gifted, the judges should be fact checking, but I'm saying in the debate, during the debate, the judges aren't going to kick in and be like, hey, chill, you're actually lying. But it's up for you to be as prepared for your topic that you can call out that somebody's lying if they are.
I think you do have to call it out, Hayes. I'm just saying, if you're a judge watching it in post, if they're lying in the middle of their debate, that should take away from your end tally if they're making points and backing them up with bullshit. I think it should be an aid to the other side if they actively call it out as a bonus. But as a default, if you're lying in a debate and you're just saying cap and they can fact check it after the fact, you should take an L for that. Or like at least for that point, if you continually call back to that point over and over and over. That's all.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Anything else before we get up out of here?
Nah, man, this was a good episode, I will say.
Shout out to Drench.
Shout out to Jordan.
Hey, Jordan.
Jordan had a great performance. He surprised me, not gonna lie. But I still cook Jordan in the debate. That's just fun. That's just fun to Jordan. Literally, I know it's just fun to Jordan. Jordan is probably one of the people over the PC, over like doing player shorts outside of course you guys, because you do a show together. Jordan is definitely the one that at PC weekend, I'm getting Jordan drunk. There you go.
For sure.
Jordan, I want to say this real quick. Whoever Jordan was arguing with today, Jordan was cooking him today. I seen that today. That was bad. Bro, I have no idea who bro is, but nah. That was bad.
I still want to get in a 3-point shootout because I don't think Jordan knows how good of a shooter I am, but I know that you're pretty good. But I went toe to toe with an NBA Hall of Famer, so I will forever have that level of confidence with me. No matter, I could die tomorrow and I'll be happy with that. So yeah, next PC weekend we need Jordan, we need From the Logo, and we need alcohol.
I'm there. I just gotta have the dates. I'll be there, even if I gotta bring the whippersnappers with me. So
okay. Word.
But all right, y'all. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of From the Logo. We are live every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Y'all make sure y'all go and rock with Gifted over there. What he's doing at Gifted Hoops. Rock with Z as well. We'll be back Tuesday. Love you guys. Hoops. Peace, y'all.
Peace out, people. Have a good one.